So it's been quite a bit of time since I've given you guys an update on how the new job is. I'm about 4 months in already, which is kind of crazy because time has basically flown by, and the job has actually been going way better than I expected. For those who don't know, I work in product marketing at a tech company, specifically on financial products. And given my interest in personal finance, I think this role and industry actually fit really well with my interests. For the past 4 months, I've been able to work on really interesting products and get to learn how financial companies operate. In the meantime, I've been able to meet some really cool people, and I really like my coworkers, and I'm not just saying that because some of them watch my videos. My company happens to foster a culture where people are not afraid to ask about each other's weekends, or maybe even talk about their personal lives if they're willing. Not to mention that my job is fully remote, which means I get to work basically anywhere that I want. You guys already know how big of a proponent I am of remote work. You don't have to feel trapped in an office, you don't have to use company bathrooms, you get to save so much time from commuting, and time is basically the biggest factor behind why remote work is so valuable. No one wants to spend time commuting from one place to another for at least an hour a day anymore, and it just makes no sense. It makes no sense to make employees go back into the office if in the past 2 years when they've been working at home are able to be as productive or even more productive. But as with anything, remote work does have a few downsides to it, and that's kind of what I want to focus on in today's video, because I've definitely been feeling some of it in my personal life. So I just said how a big pro of remote work is having more time. Well, in my case, sometimes I feel like I have too much time on my hands, and this is totally a first world problem, I agree. But a little confession of mine is that because I have a lot of time left over from not commuting and just staying in the comfort of my own home, I end up using a lot of that leftover time just scrolling on social media or doing God knows what with it. I usually convince myself that I'm consuming so much social media to help me come up with new content ideas for my videos, but that's usually not the case, and I have nothing to show for it after hours of scrolling or hours on the internet. And I'll admit, it's not a great feeling. I spend way too much time on my phone than I would like to admit, and I'm sure some of you out there can agree. I remember moments in my past when I used to say, oh, if only I had more time to read more, if only I had more time to run more. But now that we actually have the time to do said things, I realize it's not really an issue of time, but it's more about an issue of discipline and motivation on my part. And don't get me wrong, if I had to pick between fully remote and 5 days in the office, I would go fully remote hands down. After all, because I have more time, I'm able to exercise regularly, I'm able to spend more time with my family, and that's something that I didn't think I would do after I graduated from college, but here I am. Perhaps it's just me feeling guilty for having this extra time and not using it in a productive manner, and that's the inner capitalist and conditioning that's speaking to me, but that's kind of the way I feel about it, at least. I also find that remote work can be isolating for me at times, because even though I spend a lot of time with my family, a lot of quality time, I feel like there is a law of diminishing returns when it comes to quality time spent and actual utility that you gain from spending time with your family, and eventually you're just gonna get on each other's nerves. Because I've been living at home, I don't really have any friends nearby me, and therefore it takes a lot more energy and effort to actually get out of the house for social reasons. Probably the minimum commute time it takes for me to get to someone is 40-ish minutes now. That's a big difference compared to 10-15 minutes when I was in college. Now, I do consider myself an introvert, and I really do enjoy my alone time, but this pandemic's taught me that even I, an introvert, do want social interaction, because after all, we are social beings. And I don't think I'm the only one that feels this way, because I think Gen Z is reported to be the loneliest generation of all time, and there are probably a mix of factors. One is because of COVID, two, probably social media that makes us feel more disconnected and insecure because everyone's posting about their perfectly curated posts of videos that make you think that their lives are perfect. But I do think that if there were a major problem in society that you would want to tackle, I think loneliness is a great one, because I think we're all lacking a bit of that human connection. And I wonder if this isolation has more to do with the pandemic and everything being closed, or that life is just kind of built this way after college. I graduated right around the time COVID started, so I really can't tell the difference between what is a result of the pandemic versus what is a result of the way society is structured. After all, the first 22-ish years of your life, you're constantly told what to do. You experience new events more quickly and more frequently. Once you kind of graduate, it comes to a halt. You're no longer meeting a lot of new people every semester. It's more like every year or two when you decide to switch jobs. So when we're in our 20s or when we're young, we have a few puzzle pieces, but we don't actually know what the big puzzle is supposed to be like. And I stole this from a commencement speech that I watched recently. But it is only until the end of our lives where we actually see the progression from one event to the next, and it seems to make sense only then and there. But when we are in our present moment, it's not something that we will understand right away. And we just have to keep trusting that one event will eventually lead to the next, and hopefully by the end, it'll all eventually begin to make sense. It's been almost 2.5 years since I graduated from school, but sometimes I really feel like it's just yesterday. And if I'm being brutally honest, I'm not sure I really made a new friend, a new best friend since I graduated. I've been able to maintain a lot of close friendships with the people that I met in college, but in terms of after college, meeting new people and becoming really great friends with them can be really rare. Not to mention, I also have no idea what I want to do in the grander scheme of life, and I'm still figuring that out. But I'm not really stressing about it anymore because I know that your 20s are meant for exploration and discovery. That's kind of the issue that I'm facing. Like, I know I don't have it figured out, and I'm okay with that, but I also haven't been doing that much exploration and discovery since, I don't know, at least I started my new job. And I feel like I've been starting to stagnate in terms of my personal growth, and I just haven't been experiencing life that I thought I would. Maybe this has to do with expectations of what I thought my 20s would look like versus how my 20s actually are, and that disconnect is kind of what I'm concerned with. I already know what the solution is. The solution is that you need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to put yourself out there. You need to live new experiences so you can actually experience novelty and taste the adventure of life again, per se. But I just haven't been doing that because I've been too comfortable. So, if anything, this is my declaration that I need to start living more and not just going through the motions, because while I do work at a job that excites me and fulfills me, I want to have a life outside of work, and as of lately, I feel like I haven't been able to say that. So if there is a message or takeaway in this video that I want to bring to you, is that it's really on us to create the life that we want, and I understand that there may be external factors that come in your way that block you, but you gotta do what you can. Just control what you can. Just keep exploring and keep staying curious about the world, because once you stop being that, I feel like things start to just get boring and dull, and life just doesn't feel fun. Even if this means I'm going to travel thousands of miles in a completely new location to just start fresh for even a brief moment. But that would be kind of a crazy idea. It's a bit spontaneous. I don't know about that.